morning. Good morning. She's talking about Thanksgiving. I get to be thankful every year for mine because she's born on the 25th. So, I just had a little something before I get into my message. How God got where He's speaking to me and talking to me and things the other day, and we were working down at the mill, and I didn't get your pen. I got it.
Can't trust you.
You can have a purple one. We were working down the mill the other day, and me and a guy was just talking or whatever, and we got to talking about Jesus being crucified and all this stuff and everything. And I look over, and one of the railroad guys was driving this into the ground. And I used to get emotional about this. When the devil's tried all morning to keep me from here, from work, from just being tired. He's tried. I was when Miss Terry was talking about this morning. He's tried everything he could, but I just can't imagine, two of these be driven in his hands. And his feet for me. A recovering drug addict that didn't deserve life. Because I know I couldn't give mine up. I couldn't do it. All right, that's why I brought the rag. No. We're going to be in Habakkuk today. It's like me and Brother Rusty talked about. It's one of those little books. It's 3 chapters, and until you start getting into it, you think, oh, that's just 3 chapters. It's kind of like the book of Jude. If you don't really read the book of Jude, then you think, hey, it's just 1 chapter, and we just kind of, myself, I'm guilty of, skipping over the smaller books. And then back of the chapters, I'll just go ahead and read the 1 through 4. I don't know if she's had them on, some of them on the board. She's got 3 on there, but 4. Says, oh, sorry, I got 2 down there. I got enough water for everybody. This is a message that the prophet Habakkuk received, a vision. Habakkuk's complaint. How long, O Lord, must I call for help? But you do not listen. Violence is everywhere. I cry, but you do not come to save. Must I forever see the evil deeds? Why must I watch the misery? Whenever I look, I see the destruction, the violence. I'm surrounded by people who love to argue and fight. The law has become paralyzed, and there is no justice in the courts. The wicked far outnumber the righteous, and so that justice has become perverted. And my thing is, if you look on today's society and you look on the way things are going nowadays, it's almost like God called Habakkuk and said, "Hey, I need you to write this book for," and I'm stealing a line from Adrian Rogers. He used Memphis, Tennessee, but I'm gonna use Lake Seminole. He said that it's almost like he told him to write this book for Lake Seminole, for Bainbridge, for Atlanta, for wherever, because even from the time I can remember being back younger, 18 or whatever, things that are on TV now, things that are on, this little device right here that is at your beck and call, whatever you want. You can find everything. I never thought I would have to worry about, monitoring kids, looking at a phone, looking at a TV, and make sure that they don't accidentally come up on stuff. A lot of times it's not even they're not looking for it; it's just accidentally come up on it. But the title of my message is "It Okay to Ask God Why?" And that's what Habakkuk is doing. He's basically asking God, why are they living righteous? Why are they trying to do the right thing? Why are they're trying to be right, and then all of a sudden you got these Babylonians that are coming in, and they're just doing what they want to do. And as the old adage goes, the rich get richer. And it's the same thing. I mean, I question it all the time, and that's why I've done this. And I was talking to Brother Rusty about it, and I asked him, I said, is it okay to ask God why? And he said, yeah. He said, because, a relationship between me and Jesus Christ is exactly that, a relationship. It's no different me asking, Brother Bobby about, asking him how to do something, or, talking about this, talking about that. It's a conversation. It's a relationship. It's no different me chastising my girls and disciplining them. It's the same thing. God loves me, so if he's not chastising me, and this is how I look at it now, if I'm not getting chastised or I'm not being convicted by stuff, there's a gap between me and the good Lord. And that's where I'm really working on my relationship with God now, is being able to deal with those convictions instead of turning my back going, well, I'm going to do it anyway. Because that's how Habakkuk was looking at the Babylonians, and that's how he was looking at everybody else. Okay, God, I'm trying to live the right way. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to whatever. And you're letting this guy over here do whatever he wants to do whatever how they want to live, and they're still prospering. I'm living this way, trying to do the right thing by you. They're just doing whatever they want to do. Wine, women, song, idols, all this stuff and everything like that, and you're still letting them prosper in life. And so that was the question they'd come up with. And he's not the only one in the Bible that asked God why. If you're at Psalm 13, 1-6, this is our good old buddy David. He wasn't the poster child for making the best decisions in the world. For a man after God's own heart, he sure made some pretty bad decisions. But I'll read through these. It's basically David, the same thing Habakkuk was asking. Oh Lord, how long will you forget me? Forever. How long will you look the other way? How long must I struggle in anguish in my soul, with sorrow in my heart every day? How long will my enemy have the upper hand? Turn and answer me. O Lord my God, restore the sparkle to my eyes, or I will die. Don't let my enemies gloat, saying, we have defeated him. Don't let them rejoice at my downfall, but I trust in your unfailing love. I will rejoice because you have rescued me. I will sing to the Lord because he is good to me. And the reason that really spoke to my heart there is because that's the way I am now. It's almost like I'm having a conversation with me, God, and my other self. It's like, okay, Chris, God, why is this going on? Why are you doing this? Why is this happening? But then I turn around, the other Chris says, all right, well, you still got to praise God through the storms. And, that's really where my faith's growing right now. I kind of take everything with, there's a reason for God doing it. He puts trials in our life to make us stronger. And that's what Habakkuk couldn't understand. Why are you making us go through all this, God, if we're supposed to be your chosen people? Why are you making us everything in the world just not going the way we need it to go? But if you go on over into the New Testament, the Jewish people have been thinking that's what they thought when Jesus came and the Messiah came. They thought he was coming to set up his kingdom. They thought, oh yeah, here comes the hero. He's going to come in. He's going to make everything better. We're not going to have to worry about it. But it was the exact opposite. I love how, a couple pastors I listened to, he came to serve the first time, and he's coming to rule the second time. And I talked to Brother Rusty about this because I was kind of on the fence about using this, and he said he didn't see a problem. I mean, Jesus asked God why. The Garden of Gethsemane. God, why do I have to take this burden? Why do I have to, is there any possible way that I can get out of this? And I struggled with that for a little bit, and I'm like, Brother Russ is like, no, I said, it's a valid point. But here's the thing about it is, God doesn't owe us an explanation for anything. And I love thinking back to when the girls were little and all that stuff, and Addie's favorite question was why? Daddy, why? Daddy, why? Daddy, why? I mean, it was everything why. And we ask God why all the time. I mean, I don't know about you unless you got a different cell phone number than I do to God, but he ain't never given me an explanation of why he done what he done. Why did I have to go through the struggles that I went through? But then God answers me, well, Chris, how many of those were self-inflicted? You know what I mean? It's like sticking your hand on the stove twice. First time accident, second time stupidity. You know what I mean? I mean, that's, because it's going to burn you both times. But the thing about it is, he doesn't owe us an explanation, but he gives us promises. The Bible is full of promises. I'm still looking for them all and still trying to, hold on to them. But that's the thing about it is, he doesn't, and the word easy is in the Bible twice, is what I was told by several pastors. And it has nothing to do with our life. Because you think back on the 33 years that Jesus lived here. I mean, I don't really know very many of them that was too pleasant. You know what I mean? I mean, he had some miracles, and he did his sermons and all that stuff, and blessed everybody else. I mean, that's the thing about it. It's like he blessed everybody else, knowing that he was going to die. And the thing about it, he was going to die for the world that we live in now. And that's the prophetic stuff. Is I'm kind of getting into a little more, because if you go back and look at how things were in the Old Testament, then into the New Testament, into now, it's almost like everything's just, it's almost like there's one thing that you can count on: history's going to repeat itself. And that's exactly what's happening. And this is why, if I tell you this pen's purple, then you can see that pen, you can see that pen's purple and all that stuff. But if I got it behind my back and I tell you this pen's purple, you got to have faith I got this pen and it's purple. I could have swapped hands and it could be a blue. But it's the same thing with God's promises. You have to have the faith that he's going to be there through whatever times, through whatever and all that stuff, and you have to walk with that faith, because I mean, our sight can be blinded. And that's the thing about it is, and like the old saying, the devil knows the scripture just like anybody. And the devil will manipulate things to make you think that it's going one way, and then totally it's supposed to be the exact opposite way. But here's the thing about it is, God's thoughts are so far above ours that if he did sit down and explain it to us, we still wouldn't understand it. If he sat down and said, Jamie, this is what's going to happen the next 5 years, and this is why it's going to happen, then you still wouldn't understand his reasoning behind everything that he was going to do. But here's the beauty of it, and most men, God could sit down and say, hey, Chris, all right, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what's going to whatever. Knowing me, I'd be like, okay, well, God, I tell you what, let's try it this way. So we're always going to try to, and I think that's a lot of the reason why, not to mention God's thoughts above ours, but that God lets us go through the trials, go through the good times, go through the bad times, everything and all that stuff, just to see that we have to have the faith in him no matter what. We get just, the test of faith is what I call it. But and then Habakkuk 1:11 through 13. I don't know if you have that one on them. No, it's not on there. But their sweet paths like the wind, they're gone, but they're deeply guilty. O Lord my God, the Holy One, you are eternal. Surely you do not plan to wipe us out. O Lord our rock, you have sent the Babylonians to correct us, to punish us for many sins, but you are pure and cannot stand the sight of evil. Will you wink at their treachery? Should you be silent while the wicked swallow up people more righteous than they? We're always wanting to point the finger at everybody else's sins worse than ours. You know, I've looked all through this book right here, and I have not seen the scale that rates sin more than the other one. And that's the thing about it, and that's human nature. Because we sit there and we look at a serial killer on TV and we go, well, I may do this, but I'm not a murderer. You look at a guy that robs a store and you go, you know what? I may do this, but I didn't rob that store. And then you look at that, look at the person and you go, well, yeah, I talked to my sister about this, but I don't really gossip like she does. And then the big one that, hits home is, yeah, I only drink 2 or 3 beers, but I'm not as bad as that drug addict right there. I'm not, I've never lost my house. I've never lost my job. I've never this and that and all this stuff and everything like that. What's the old adages about fingers pointing back at you? And that's a lot of, and, me and Carolyn relate to whatever it's almost like those are the people that you have to take out of your life, that I do. I speak for myself. And that's one thing that I promised myself, that negativity would not be in my life anymore once I've got in recovery. Going on 20 months, now, and it's like the devil throws darts every day. It's like he tries everything he can to, make me stumble in other areas, not drugs, not alcohol, not this and whatever. It's other areas, because he knows the routes he can take to get Chris. But we have to do like Habakkuk had to do in the 2nd chapter. He got away. He had several translations. They call it a prayer towel. They call it hey, let's call it a tree stand. Let's call it a deer stand. Well, that way we all know what we're talking about. And he got away, and that's what I use my ride to work. I told several all the time I use the ride to work to talk to the Lord. When we're doing certain things or whatever, and I'm by myself, I'm sitting there steady talking to God, and that's when God's not giving us an explanation of what He's doing, but He's showing us the route that He's going to take that's going to be good for us. It's going to be beneficial. It's not going to be. Sorry, I had to check my chicken clock, as Brother Rusty called it. Then we have to get away. We have to get away with God. We have to, especially nowadays, because there's distractions. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, there's always going to be distractions somehow, some way. And I had to eliminate some stuff like with my phone, like the Facebook thing. I had to eliminate that because, purebred honesty, it was taken away from my devotion in the morning with God. I was picking up my phone, the first thing I was doing was checking Facebook. I was checking to see who was doing this, who was doing that, and all this stuff and everything like that. And then I started back journaling, and then I started working so much, I'm like writing 2 words in a journal now instead of, writing stuff down. But God will use the most unorthodox people, things, places, and all this stuff to show us a blessing. I mean, if you would have told me, me and Miss Mary and Miss Terry, we've been through this recovery road for about, going on 13, 14 years now. If you ever told me you would put them two little A's in my life, years ago, I'd have been like, what? But he puts those people in my life, like Miss Terry, that's not scared to tell me, hey, here you go. This is what's going on. This is what I see. Do I always like what she got to say? Nope. But once I get away and me and God's talking and he's like, all right, now I put that little short woman in your life for a reason to help her,
Amen.
And so I told you it was about you today. but that's the biggest thing. And like today, we won't go through it and read it all, but me raising two girls, and the generations that are coming next, if you get time, go back and, read Romans. Where's that? Romans, just had it. Romans 11, 33 and 34. If you get a chance to, go back and read that. It's almost like Paul said, okay, here's America in 2022, and I'm going to describe everything that's happening. It's almost identical, from the immorality to the, the marriage situation to, and all that stuff. And I kind of tread lightly on that stuff because I get kind of off in a tangent, and I will chase a rabbit on that. But we have to. The alone time with God is big, and we don't think so. We don't think, because I read the Bible sometimes and I go, what in the world does that have to do with anything? Habakkuk is a perfect example. Where this message come from, it had to come from the good Lord, because I've never read that book more than anything for anything. I pass right over it. Hey, let me go to Matthew. Hey, let me go to, I read Malachi more than I read that. And so, but my justification in thinking where God's taking me with this is to prepare me to raise them, prepare me to see that I'm going to need him later on down the road. That's when this world gets, if the good Lord don't come back, when this world gets to where it's headed, and I don't, and I have to. Me and somebody was discussing this other day. We got a little discussion, but if I don't, and that's why, like Brother Bobby said earlier, I thank the good Lord for Lake Seminole Baptist Church every day, because they get, as my granddad used to say, they come get fed. They come get fed through Miss Terry's class, whether it's Celebrate Recovery, whether it's, wherever it's at, they're coming. And then us, reading the Bible at night. And if anybody, you have smaller kids, the Life Book Bible from the Gideons, the little, I can promise you that Addie loves that book. It breaks down, explains everything, but that's what the sermon I'm asking God for, just like Habakkuk did in his time. Okay, God, I can't change the situation, and I can't do anything about what's going on. So what blessing am I going to find in this situation? And that's, and that's what he done. And then finally God told him, all right, I tell you what, chapter 2, the first couple verses there. All right, you sit down. I'm going to write this book. I'm going to let you write this book. He was even good enough to give him a name, give the book his name, to prepare him for the destruction and everything the Babylonians were coming in to destroy their land, but also to prepare us for the things we're going through in the future and things that that's going to happen. And once we get to that, myself, once I get to that piece. And I get to that point with situations, I found out it's a whole lot easier to deal with the situation than it is to, try to fight the good Lord on every tooth and nail about everything that's going to happen. Because like I said, I got an opinion. Does it matter to anybody but me? Probably not. It's just like like I said, with all the stuff going on in the world today, if I don't prepare myself, then I can't prepare them. And I can't, because, and I really I catch myself all the time now that trying to set an example for them, whether it be language, whether it be, I'm getting convicted about smoking cigarettes, and, now I'm just like, but if I can't set an example for them, then I want them to, when they lay me in that ground, I want them to say I had the best daddy I ever had. Did he make mistakes? Did he, did problems come up? Did, things happen? Yeah, but you know what? He was the best daddy we ever had. And that's what, so, and the third chapter, you can read through it, it's his prayer. Habakkuk was, praying to the good Lord, just, if I can't change the situation, and I can't, apparently you're going to use these evil people, and this was my take on the entire book. He's taking the Babylonians to teach the people of Israel and Judea and all, wherever they just rampant through. I mean, they, you go through the descriptions, they had, horses like cheetahs. They had the most, they just come, when they come through and wiped everything out. It wasn't coming through and, hey, let's keep this and let's keep that and whatever. It was, slaves, children, and we're gone. But the book of the way the summarization of the book I got was, God will take most extreme things and put them in your life in order to test your faith. And that was the message that God gave me through this book. Was, I don't know if something's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know if something's going to happen 5 years from now. I don't know if it's going to happen when we walk out this door. But God's building me up for something. It may be a good thing. It may be, I may hit the lottery tomorrow, but or I may, but he's preparing me for something that's coming up. And if there's, if you're going through something in your life now, if you're going through, cancer, if you're going through, God forbid, divorce, if you're going through any, a death of a loved one, anything you're going through, you will find peace in Jesus, I promise. You will find it in Jesus. Now it may be, it may be a slow piece that God's going to ease you into it. And because going back to the beginning of my sermon, if God explained everything to us all at one time, you would see a bunch of brains all over the thing because we couldn't handle it. And in closing, just like Habakkuk, I always find the blessings in everything, no matter what it is. The good situations, the bad situations. I got a guy I work with or whatever. We're talking. He's a younger guy, and how this young hip generation, they're too hip for Jesus. And so we were talking and everything, whatever, and they came to work the other day. He said, "Man, I prayed yesterday." I said, "You did what?" Because that's all he's talking about all the time is my Christian music and this and that and all this stuff and everything like that. He said, "Yeah, I had some whatever, and I prayed yesterday." I said, "Well, good." I said, "Try it again tomorrow, see what happens." And so that's the one thing I'm asking God every day. Please let me witness to somebody through no matter what my situation is. Because me complaining about my situation probably not going to make your situation any better. But if I can be a shining light to you, if I can be a shining light to, a person is going through cancer, a person is going through a divorce, a person that, lost a loved one and all that stuff and everything like that, if they look back and say, just like, he told Habakkuk, you be that light in this bad situation. You be that person that gets away and prays, and no matter what they're tearing up, no matter what's going on, you're going to be that shining light for me in this situation. So, but if you've got any of those, problems, if you got anything, then you need to, leave at this altar, leave with leave with Jesus. Don't do like I do a lot of times. I'll come down, I'll pray, and it's like like one of those book bags. I'll put it right back on the back. Take it right on back with me take it right on back with me. And she's going to play an invitation song. And if you've got anything you need to get off, lay on the altar in your heart, if you need to pray with you, we've got elders in the church. But I appreciate the opportunity. And I can feel Brother Rusty's shoes, but I said what the Lord laid on my heart. And he didn't change this one this time. He's got a good thing about doing that to me. But thank you.